Okay, here we go, everybody. We're on Module 1, Safety, covering Section 5, moving into PPE, Personal Protective Equipment. The most common types are hard hats, eye protection, gloves, safety footwear, hearing protection, respiratory or breathing protection, and high visibility clothing, reflective clothing. It's not a good idea for workers to share PPE. If one person has an infection, it can be passed on to another through shared equipment. So typically you want to have your own boots, you want to have your own earplugs, respiratory, and high visibility clothing. Hard hats. This is a picture up here of a typical hard hat. We have one on display in the classroom that we can pass around. The part that fits on your head is called the webbing. That's what, and it keeps it, it's like a little bouncy thing in there that keeps your head from hitting the top of the hat, and it also acts like a shock absorber if something falls on the hat, so it's not directly impacting your head. You never want to alter your hat in any way. Inspect it at all times. If there's any cracks or dents, you need to go ahead and fix it or replace it. A lot of places won't let you put stickers on your hat because people have been known to cover up cracks with stickers and then have an accident where something hits them on the head and their hat is defective. So it could hurt you if you are using a defective hat. So you always want to be sure that you don't wear anything but the approved clothing under your hard hat. Let's see, looking down, there's a case history down there. We're going to move into it. Eye protection, you want to make sure that you have proper eye protection. If there's the slightest chance of an eye injury. In general, eye protection is required anytime you're on the job site. You don't have to necessarily be using a tool in order to have eye protection. If you're in, like for example, in the welding lab, you should have eye protection. Someone in there could use a hammer and hit a piece of metal and it flies across the room. Before you even know it, you've got an eye injury and you didn't even know they were using tools where you needed eye protection. It's a great example. Anytime that you're around grinding or chipping metal, anything that can throw solid material out. Turn the page. These are typical examples of safety glasses. Outdoors, you typically would use a tinted. Indoors, not so much. Goggles are used when you need to seal or if you're going over the top of other glasses. Full face shields, tinted face shields. Whenever you're working around arc welding, which is joining metal together by fusing it together, it produces a lot of heat, but it also produces a very bright light that can hurt your eyes if you stare at it. Standard eyeglasses are not adequate protection around welding. You have to have a particular lens number. The higher the number, the darker the lens. Welders must use tinted goggles and welding hoods. A tinted lens protects the eyes from the bright welding arc or flame. Welders must use filtered lenses depending on what the job site requirements are. Welders, helpers, all employees working in the vicinity of arc welding should not look directly at the welding process. That's why outside of the lab we have that fence with those little things inserted to keep people from incidentally walking by and looking in here. Now, oxyacetylene welding, it won't hurt your eyes, but it does require a bit of a filtered lens. But that's mostly so you can see what you're doing. If you try to look at it for an extended period, you start to get a little like sunspots in your eyes. Anytime you have an eye injury, you always want to report it, even if you don't think it's bad. Get it checked out because you just don't want to accidentally damage your eyes. Keep your hands away from your eyes. If you have something in your eye and you start rubbing your eyes, you can make it worse. Hand protection on many jobs. Well, let's see. Let's finish up here. Keep materials out of your eyes. Wear the proper safety equipment. There's let's Let's see what we've got here. Flood your eyes with water. We can go out and look at the eye wash machine we have outside in the lab. Know the location of your eye wash stations. We have one in the lab. And we use it to flood our eyes with water. I'll give you a demo, and you want to try it, you're free to give it a try. I wouldn't try it if I had contact lenses, though. It'll wash them out. Hand protection. On many job sites, you have to wear heavy-duty gloves, for example, when you weld. Construction work gloves are usually made of cloth and canvas. You never want to wear gloves around rotating equipment. Gloves can easily get caught in equipment. Replace gloves. You can wear gloves if they're snug fitting and they're not loose. That should say never wear loose fitting gloves, like big bulky gloves. Tight fitting gloves are safe around equipment. Replace gloves when they become worn, torn, and soaked with oil. And we're going to get into some of the reasons why that's not such a good thing in the welding environment. Oil-soaked gloves. Oil can interact with oxygen and create a flammable situation. Gloves help prevent cuts and scrapes when you handle sharp and rough metals. Heat-resistant gloves are needed for handling hot. Craft workers should become familiar with standards governing glove protection. The ANSI standard here is one that is referred to. We actually have a special standard that we use in the welding environment. Here's some pictures of different work gloves, fitted gloves with cuffs, rubberized cotton gloves. Electricians use special insulated gloves. Helps protect against shock and electrocution. You don't want to wear baggy clothes, long hair, jewelry, anything that could get caught, could pull your body into a piece of equipment or pull a body part off, or minimally, it could, by the time you break free, you could be hurt. So you have to be aware of the way your hair is, the way your jewelry is, the way your clothes fit, anytime you're working around any kind of equipment. No articles should be worn under the hard hat that interferes with fit and visibility. That includes ball caps and hoodies. Only approved gear is to be worn under a hard hat. Here's some info on safety glasses. We've already covered that a little bit. Face shields are required for grinding and chipping, sandblasting that protects not just your eyes, but also protects your face. Here's some good information on gloves. Fitted gloves provide more dexterity. What does dexterity mean? Anybody know what dexterity is? The ability to pick up something. You can pick up something little tiny, like a bolt or a penny or something small, and you can hold it. If your gloves offer more dexterity, a big thick glove like a welding glove, it's hard to hold little small objects. Footwear rules. Never wear canvas or sandals on a job. Wear boots that are suited for the site conditions. Inspect them often and replace them when they get worn out. Over here it talks about approved safety footwear. The best shoes for construction site. Safety toe is another word for a steel toe. Steel toe boots protect you if something falls on your foot. Figure 58. What is figure 58? There we go. Remember general guidelines relating to leg protection. Never carry pointed tools such as scissors or screwdrivers in your pants pockets. You could fall and stab yourself. When using certain special equipment such as chainsaws, use shin guards. Consider stability when stepping into or onto locations. And then we're talking about hearing protection. Hearing protection is interesting because exposure to intense sound over time can result in severe hearing loss. I can testify to that. Earmuffs like this or earplugs. These are good, but you can also hear people talk. It's not always a good idea to think, oh, I can wear my ear pods instead of the approved safety gear, because in addition to blocking, I call them earplugs because that's kind of what they are. They block out things that you might need to hear. If you have music playing in a job site, in addition to having something over your ears, now you've got another sound that's distracting you from the things that you need to be hearing. So you can't make the mistake, or you shouldn't make the mistake that your earpods that you listen to music or whatever over your phone with, oh, I can just use those instead of these. No, you can't. It's a safety violation. Exposing yourself to long periods of time, we're talking years, cause hearing loss. How do you know if it's too loud? There's a test here. Damage to the part of your ear is called tinnitus. This is what I have. Let me highlight that. It's a constant ringing in your ears that never stops. Hearing loss reduces your quality of life and makes simple daily tasks more complicated. Save your hearing by wearing hearing protection whenever you're in a noisy environment. Here's the little test. This is how you know if you should be wearing ear protection. If you're standing less than 2 feet away from someone and you have to raise your voice to speak to them, I'm going to make this red because I believe this is a test question. A good rule, if you have to raise your voice to hear somebody and they can't talk to you, unless they're deaf like me, but people who have normal hearing, that means that what's around you is too loud, and you need to consider some hearing protection. Section 5, PPE. Noise-induced hearing loss can be prevented by using noise control. 90 decibels or higher, that's the danger zone. I believe that's a test question. When noise level exceed these, take hearing conservation. Put in some earplugs are required. If you have questions, ask your supervisor. Be careful with your ears and your eyes. You only get one set. Here's some good examples of decibels. Remember, 90 is the cutoff. If you're around a lawnmower 8 hours a day at 90 decibels, you need hearing protection. Hammer drills, hand drills, tractors, belt sanders, all these things are louder and louder. And the louder it gets, the less you can be exposed to it, or it does damage to you. All right, we're going to end here, and we'll start up another section on respiratory hazards.